What's going on, guys? Aaron here. So Bitcoin altcoins have had a really hard last 2 days or so since the US struck and bombed Iran. Okay. So what they're saying is this is not an act of war, but it certainly could escalate. So what I want to talk about are just a couple of the stories. Take a look at some of the charts. I did share this in a previous video of just the recovery of like worst case scenarios if this does escalate. First, really quick though, everyone's aware of it. Altcoins really took a huge hit. I'm going to cover that in this video as well. Taking a look at Bitcoin dominance, everyone's favorite chart, except right now, if you hold altcoins, because it has been going up. So I want to touch on that a little bit later in the video. So we got the US calling on China to prevent Iran from closing the Strait of Hormuz and disrupting global oil flows. So this is going to be something to definitely keep an eye on. So taking a look at oil, we can see that it has jumped up a ton, and it's been going up essentially for the last month or so. So we'll see. Will it hit these highs we saw a couple years back, especially right here around March of 2022? It could. And what will that do to crypto? What will that do to Bitcoin? I'll kind of share my thoughts on that in a moment. So that's the big thing right now, right? This global oil flow. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called on China to prevent Iran from blocking the strait in retaliation for U.S. airstrikes. About 20% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump recently said a monumental damage was done to all nuclear sites in Iran, as shown by satellite images. Obliteration is an accurate term. The white structure shown is deeply embedded into the rock, with even its roof well below ground level and completely shielded from flame. Anyway, the biggest damage took place far below the ground, bullseye. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if there's retaliation here. Iran is looking like it is kind of isolated right now because Hezbollah and Hamas are refusing to enter the fight. This one from Bloomberg. China, though, so this is something to be aware of. China is criticizing the U.S. strike on Iranian nuclear facilities and reiterated that it's willing to join international efforts to restore peace in the Middle East. Yeah, so we don't really know what that looks like. What does that mean to restore peace in the Middle East for China, right? Beijing strongly condemns the attacks on Iran, according to a 4-sentence statement, very brief, from the Foreign Ministry on Sunday. The U.S. move seriously violates the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and international law and exacerbates tensions in the Middle East. China calls on all parties to the conflict, especially Israel, to cease fire as soon as possible. So let me just take a look at a couple charts for you guys. I made a video about this a while ago. So if this does escalate, war is always inflationary, and we got to print money to pay for the war. So just a couple things over the last, 20, 30 years or so, starting way back in the Gulf. So it took around a year for the S&P to recover. Now, right now, we'll see what happens tomorrow when the markets open in the U.S. I assume we'll go down probably 2, 3, 4%. 9/11, 2 years to recover. The 2008-2009 crisis, 2 to 3 years to fully recover for the S&P, and less than a year for the COVID pandemic, okay? So worst case scenario, we see a big sell-off on the S&P, and that could totally affect crypto. Crypto is not immune. Bitcoin, ironically, take a look right here, it's actually doing pretty well. So this is the daily chart for Bitcoin, and right now, we're sitting, as of me making this video, $101,200. So we did dip to around 98, and I think that's appropriate, especially with the amount of chaos happening right now in the world and the uncertainty, especially with the oil prices and a possible escalation, right? Here's oil right here. But Bitcoin's doing pretty well. The U.S. just bombed Iran's nuclear facilities, and Bitcoin is up for the day, as you can see right here, this little green candle. So overall, things are going pretty well. So if we see a huge escalation, Bitcoin is the great absorber of liquidity. So I don't want there to be an escalation. I do not want there to be some global war here right now, But if there is, and if there is massive money printing, Bitcoin's going to do well. I really believe that Bitcoin will do well. And I do believe that eventually altcoins will catch up. Now, if altcoins reach lower levels, I will be picking some up. So XRP did drop below the $2 mark yesterday, went around $1.90. So anything below $2, I think, for XRP is pretty darn good. BNB also broke down below its support as well. Just most altcoins have been going down. They have been bleeding to US dollars and also to Bitcoin. Taking a look at HBAR, they all look pretty similar, right? All these altcoins look pretty similar right now. Taking a look at Solana as well. Solana has just been getting hit hard, which has been challenging for sure. So, this range I drew a while ago, it's still in a range that I think is pretty good, taking a far zoom back, right? I mean, not too long ago, I guess a year and a half ago, Solana was at around $20, right? So we've still gone up a ton. And if you zoom out, it doesn't really look that bad, right? We've just been kind of range bound for Solana for a while. And this is a similar chart for a lot of altcoins. We've just been in this range, right? We had a long period below it during the bear market, and then we've just been sideways for a while. So definitely this is not the altcoin rally that most people thought we were going to have. That's for sure. Nobody really expected this. Taking a look at Bitcoin dominance, and then I'll get into kind of what I'm thinking could happen. So that leads me actually to Bitcoin dominance. So right here, Bitcoin dominance hit a cycle high of around 65. I think it actually touched 66% or so. So we saw this massive drop end of last year, but everyone who holds altcoins has really been waiting for this kind of drop like we saw the beginning of 2021. So Bitcoin dominance dropped hard up until around May of 2021 or so. So what's been happening is that we have not seen this drop. Bitcoin dominance continues to go up even into, I guess now we're in June of 25. So usually right around here, January to May, this area is when Bitcoin dominance usually or historically had its drop. And that's what a lot of people, myself included, were thinking was going to happen. So one of two things can happen, right? We may not see the altcoin season like we saw in 2021, or it has been delayed and it will happen later, right? One of two things will happen. It just won't be the same, or it'll be later this year. Now, what could prevent altcoin season from really happening? A further escalation of international conflict, rates not being cut, and just more global uncertainty. Will there be some catalysts like we saw in 2021 where we had NFTs, where we had meme coins? Will there be this version of whatever it is that's going to drive a lot of hype and a lot of mania into the crypto world? I think we need to see something right now. Not entirely sure what that will be. A lot of people think that these Bitcoin treasury companies like MicroStrategy have been this cycle's meme coins or this cycle's NFTs, right? And they could be right. Take a look at MSTR really quick. So MicroStrategy, I mean, going back not even too far, $16, now it's $370, right? Going back just a few years. Even going to January of 2024, MicroStrategy has done incredible things, basically up 7x or 735% or so, beginning of 2024. So some people think like, all right, well, that was the altcoin season. It was just in MicroStrategy. I do think that we're still going to see a proper altcoin rally. It's just a matter of not knowing exactly what the catalyst will be. Taking a look at Bitcoin's market cycle bottom, so comparing this cycle to the previous two cycles over on the Into the Cryptoverse website. Link below if you want to check this out and pick it up. Anyway, we can see that this little dip right now is just this little tiny downward movement for this cycle. But, overall, we're still tracking. We're still pretty much tracking the previous two cycles for Bitcoin. The thing where it becomes different is taking a look at altcoins. So taking a look at Ethereum. This cycle for Ethereum really diverged from the previous cycle around March of 2024, right? So about a year and a half ago, a little over a year ago, we can see that Ethereum going down, and back in 2020, Ethereum skyrocketed. Taking a look at the altcoin season index, we never really saw altcoins blast off into these ranges like we saw right here, May and towards the end of 2021 and even into 2022. We've been hovering below it. So again, what's going to happen? Well, it really depends on if there's a de-escalation of everything going on right now in the Middle East. I really hope there is. I don't want to see an escalation for a multitude of reasons. I don't want to see this escalate. I really want this to de-escalate. I know they've been at war for a long time, but the U.S. bombing nuclear facilities is a big deal. Even though it's technically not an act of war, it could certainly be seen as an act of aggression, right? So praying that things calm down there. And if this thing can calm down and Powell cuts rates and we see inflation cool, could we see another huge rally in the stock market, Bitcoin and altcoins? Yes. But so far it has not been the same as previous cycles, which basically everybody has been aware of. No one's gotten out of this cycle without some serious altcoin bags. Taking a look for the year for altcoins, half and half, right? We've got a couple huge performers for the top 100, but most altcoins, most in the top 100, are severely down over the last 12 months. And that's what people are feeling. So for the top 100 to 200, same. You got a couple standouts, but mostly they're all down. Top 200 to 300, mostly they are down significantly, 50, 60, 70, 80%. So it doesn't matter where you look, doesn't matter the market size. This is what everyone's experiencing when it comes to altcoins. But could this turn around? Totally. Will conditions on the ground have to change for it to do so? I think so. Will there need to be some external hype factor like NFTs or like we saw in 2017 with ICOs, my bad, initial coin offerings? Yeah, we're going to need to see something that really drives tons of people into small cap altcoins. I think Bitcoin is definitely here to stay just because of the institutional demand, because of all the countries buying it, because of all the companies buying it, right? I don't think that is going anywhere, which we're seeing with the price, Bitcoin being, as of this video, over $100,000 after the U.S. literally nuked Iran's military facilities, right? But altcoins will need some sort of hype cycle in order to get back. We saw a little bit end of last year, right? Where XRP ripped super hard end of 2024, but there hasn't really been anything else super exciting over the last couple months. And a lot of people are blaming Trump and him launching his meme coin, which literally sucked the liquidity out of all the other altcoins and brought it all into Trump coin and then some of it into Melania coin. And then that nuked and then no money has come back into the space. No retail money has come back. And that's the reality. Nobody thought that Trump was going to launch his meme coin before he got elected, which was going to literally drain the swamp into his meme coin. Whatever, bad analogy. You guys get what I'm saying. But I'll obviously stay here with you guys. I'm not leaving the space. I will keep making videos and keep you guys posted. So if you like the video, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Hope you guys are well. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.